The creation and development of Luisa Madrigal. Luisa Madrigal, a fan-favorite character from the Walt Disney Animation Studios film Encanto, has been a source of amazement for many. The character of Luisa was designed, like the rest of the characters in her family, to reflect family archetypes that are immediately relatable. For instance, Luisa is the strong one of the family. Isabella is the favorite of the family, and Bruno is the black sheep of the family, just to give a few examples. Luisa was modeled after female Olympic athletes such as shot put and discus throwers to create many of her expressions and movements according to the official Luisa Madrigal wiki page. Luisa is far from a typical Disney princess type. She is not super thin and is far from needing a knight in shining armor to make her life right. She is tall and muscular, yet without being mannish. She is a hard worker whose strength and skills have made her family and the townspeople dependent on her. "I'm the strong one," she says in her musical number, Surface Pressure. "I'm as tough as the crust of the earth is." The animators who worked on Encanto had to fight Disney hard in order for Luisa to be allowed to have big muscles. Disney, being a more traditional corporation in general, wanted Luisa to have a more Disney princess-like appearance. Skinny, helpless, and with no muscles whatsoever, even though having big muscles makes perfect sense given that her magical ability is super strength. But with much persistence from the creators and the animators of Encanto, Disney finally gave in, resulting in the lovely brawny woman we all know now as Luisa Madrigal. This presentation will cover how and why, despite the expectations of Disney, Luisa became one of the most popular and beloved characters in Disney history. So first here we have some of the early concept art for Luisa by Walt Disney Studios. And in terms of her background, Luisa is a 19-year-old Colombian woman and one of the Madrigals, a family in which most of its members are granted special powers by the magical house called Casita. Luisa's power is incredible strength, which she uses to help her family and the people in her village. She is the middle child of her parents, Julieta and Agustin. Her older sibling is Isabella, a more typical Disney princess type who possesses the ability to make plants grow, and her younger sibling is Mirabel, who, for a reason never fully explained, was never granted a gift by Casita. On the outside, Luisa is incredibly strong, brawny, powerful, and completely unbreakable. However, on the inside, she is a sweet, kind, gentle character, with a very feminine side to her as well. She loves wearing ribbons and dresses, and has a fondness for cute things like unicorns, pink clouds, plushies, and rainbows. She has a huge heart of gold and constantly looks out for the needs of those around her. For example, her daily chores consist of providing services to the people in her village, like rerouting rivers, lifting and moving entire churches, straightening up houses that are leaning over, relocating bridges, helping to build houses, and capturing the local farmers' animals who have run off and putting them back in their pens, no matter how big those animals are that she has to capture. The animals she is seen collecting in the film are donkeys, who she easily picks up and carries on her shoulders. Though Luisa possesses this astounding strength, making the tasks she completes rather easy for her on their own, she has become distressed by them. Despite her efforts and eagerness to help her family and the villagers, she suffers from the crushing weight of expectations and pressures placed upon her, which she describes perfectly in her solo song, Surface Pressure. The way she feels about her responsibilities can be summed up through the lyrics, "Pressure like a drip, 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 that'll never stop." She works hard every single day without a single thank you from any of the villagers, or even from her own family members. She is ordered around constantly with no consideration for her feelings, often by people unwilling to do chores they would perfectly be capable of doing on their own. However, rather than becoming hateful or resentful towards the villagers who offer her nothing in return for her hard labor, Luisa continues working for them anyway with no complaints. This is because all she wants is to maintain peace and make others happy. And for much of the film, Louisa keeps all her worries and internal struggles to herself, causing her to carry an emotional burden along with the burdens placed on her by others. There's even a deleted scene in which she confides in a literal donkey, as she is desperate to express her feelings to someone, but fears doing so to other people because she wants to be dependable and not be seen as weak. However, at the end of the film, Louisa is finally relieved of the constant stress she had to endure throughout her whole life. Her grandmother Alma realizes how much pressure she had been putting on the entire family, including Louisa, and apologizes for it. Louisa then learns to accept help from others and to not keep her feelings bottled up inside. Others see her and the rest of the family Madrigal for who they are, and Louisa at last earns her respect as a human being and is allowed by others and herself to take it easy for once. The most satisfying moment in Encanto is the scene near the end of the film in which Louisa relaxes in a hammock, finally having the chance to take a real vacation for the first time. All Louisa's qualities and struggles make her an incredibly relatable character. She desperately needs help, but soldiers on anyway. She doesn't look to be rescued, but has to cope and persevere. Her imperfections and how she handles them make her human, relatable, and a fan favorite. According to a 2022 article called Disney Didn't Want Louisa with Muscles and Now She's Outselling Isabella, written by Lindsay Paris, Disney initially believed that the characters audiences would be drawn to the most would be Louisa's older sister, Isabella, as she is the more Disney princess type character of the film, being the more traditionally beautiful, feminine, and angelic character compared to most of the other women in Encanto. Therefore, the majority of Encanto merchandise made was centered around Isabella. But, to the surprise of Walt Disney Studios, the Encanto merchandise that was selling out the most quickly was merchandise dedicated to Louisa. In fact, the Lisa merchandise ended up outselling Isabella merchandise by a significant proportion. It turns out that the public was more in awe of someone who is strong, complex, and has a lot of depth than someone who is simply seen as a pretty princess. Louisa is not simply some perfect princess who constantly needs to be rescued and only exists to look beautiful. She's a complex human with very realistic feelings and struggles who overcomes obstacles through patience, kindness, and a bit of help from loved ones. Louisa is an amazing and wonderful character in every sense of the word, and anyone who ever insults her will have to answer to me. Thank you.